Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video, bit of a hardware review. This is the Super Nintendo Super Scope 6, the bazooka-like controller you can use on the Super NES. This was actually one that I got after kind of dabbling with what are some of the titles that the Super Scope can be played with, one of which I thought, aha! I'm definitely getting this to play this one game. And that's the last one I'm going to be showing you. But let's just very quickly show you the hardware itself, because it's pretty cool. It's a weird choice for Nintendo. Like, why in a time when you had a lot of light gun controllers like the Menacer that Sega came out with, and the Justifier before it, why would Nintendo decide to get into the light gun game and then turn it into a bazooka? Like, did they think that was more somehow kid-friendly than a gun? Regardless, let's open her up. Now, this is not complete in box, but the box is in pretty reasonable shape. Yeah, that edge is a bit rough. And it doesn't have the instructions or anything, but there's the scope. Kind of a neat bit of hardware, really. Like, it's a fairly hefty, but not too heavy controller. You put this on. In fact, let me just slide her in right here. Now, I guess the other thing is, because you're holding this over your shoulder, you've actually got two grooves where you can mount the scope, which is somewhat useful. I usually have this thing slung over my right shoulder, ergo I put the mount the correct way around onto the left there, so it can sit on my right shoulder and I can aim and then, you know, do this kind of a thing. As per the kid on the cover there, you can see he's actually got a handheld there and a handheld there, because you've got two buttons. You've got one just under there, which I think is the A button, possibly. There is also another button here, or is it that one? No, it's that one, that you can fire in other games, and in this selector you can actually choose if you want turbo on or off, which is kind of neat. So let's, or actually no, this is the power switch, so it's currently off. That turns it on, and then you put turbo if a game supports it. Looking down the sight, can I do this on camera? Probably not very easily. You can kind of see. Okay, yeah, you see that little tiny... Oh, can I get it? No, not likely. Well, trust me, looking through this thing, you can actually see that little dot as a way of aiming. So you'll just have to take my word for it. The camera's just not going to cooperate here. So yeah, let's fire up the games. Now, the disadvantage, there's a few to this thing, and one of which manifests itself in the final game I'm going to show. First big issue is this thing takes 6 batteries into here. So let's line them up. So yeah, a bit of a battery hog, but now we can turn it on. There's no indicator light to show that this is now turned on, so we'll worry about that in a minute. The games that I got for it. Now, it came with Super Scope 6, which has some pretty neat little games. I'll very quickly show them here. Not too bad. You know, a nice little demo disc, if you will, demo cart. Another game that I got, Tin Star. This one's really good. It has a flaw on my TV setup that I will show you, but outside of the minor flaw, this is a really, really good game. I recommend you get Tin Star. And finally, the reason I got the Super Scope, Terminator 2. Now, I love the arcade original, and I've watched video of this thing, and I thought, this looks really, really nice, especially compared to the Genesis version. And with a light gun controller, are you kidding me? This is awesome. It is, but that's going to be where this whole thing kind of falls apart, as I will now show you. But I guess, first of all, let's fire it up with Super Scope 6, just to give you an idea of those demo games first. Okay, so let's aim for the front here. Okay, good enough. Test the aim, push fire. And this is me pressing that purple button on the top there. Don't know if you can make that out. Let's go with Laser Blazer. And basically it's like Missile Command, but a sideways version. I'm just stopping the missiles before they get to the left side of the screen. It's very, very accurate, I must say. Oh, dang. Ooh. Yeah, the shots do get registered pretty well. Very, very happy with the tracking capability of this thing. Now, let's show you the other game. Oh, and I forgot to mention, on top of the TV next to the PlayStation Eye thing there is a little reader. That's how this thing registers. So, let's... Oh, I gotta recalibrate my shots. Okay, it looks good. And test it. Looks good to me. Okay, this time let's do Blastress, which is basically a Tetris lightgun game. So with Blastress, I'm kind of just able to shoot all the Tetris-y type blocks as they come down. Ooh, am I out of shots? I'm not sure. I don't seem to be able to fire again. All right, well, that might be okay. Anyway, but you get the idea. Basically, like in a like columns type of thing, you want to get these guys. Oh, okay, the little number 3 at the bottom. Maybe that's something to do with it. 3 shots. Can I fire? I'm not sure what's happening here. It's not doing it. Woo! Okay. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if a green one? No, of course it's not going to be there. All right, there. It's starting to happen now. I thought. Anyway, you get the general gist. This is a game where you want to line up the blocks. Let's see if I can get that guy there, because that would be ideal. Come on. Is it that? There we go. And here. All right. I thought that would have then lined up. Oh, who knows? Oh no, it's a Tetris-y thing. Okay, so I actually want to fill that that line over at the top. Okay, hang on. Is that going to work? That might. If I get those. Well, this is going very, very poorly. But you get the general gist of this game. This is the demo of what is possible with the Super Scope. Now, let me show you a much better game in the form of Tin Star. Okay, let me fire up Tin Star for you. Yeah, Tin Star. Sorry I messed up the name earlier. This is a very, very cool game. Oh, we got to shoot the can just to get ourselves started. That does not do very well on this for a good reason. When I talked about the PlayStation 1 having that comparison of the gun con versus the Justifier for the PlayStation 1, I have mentioned how there's this region on the left-hand side of my TV that just doesn't get registered. Like it's right along kind of this section here doesn't register light guns, and this one is a particularly bad example of that. So being able to shoot the tin can is not easy in this game. However, we can do most of the rest of the story here, just as long as we don't need to take care of any of those things on the left-hand side of the screen. Let's proceed. And here we go. So this is a very cool game. It's sort of this space-age robots as cowboys kind of a thing. And I can shoot them as we go. Oh, there's both uses of both guns here. Like I can use the main button on the neck of the controller, and then I've also got the ability to do stuff with the thumb button there, so that's cool. Now, let's just... One thing you're going to notice, though, there is a weird pastel kind of an art style here going on that is actually intentional, and we'll discuss that why later. But if you're thinking, man, they really chose some gnarly 90s looking colors for this game, it's actually intentional for the way that the Super Scope works. Okay, here comes the boss battle. I am getting him. Come on. There we go. Ha ha ha! Good shooting, Tex. And now Tin Star arrives in town. You'll notice for this part of the game, the color palette looks kind of more normal, reds and blues. But when we get into the actual gameplay, all of those have been changed into like pinks and purples. That's on purpose. And it's okay in this case, but I'm going to show you in my conclusion that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth for this controller. Yeah, see how very, very pink the bar is? But it's kind of neat. We can do a little shooting gallery thing here. Ooh, that guy got me. Can I shoot that guy with the cards? No. Excellent. Yeah, it is quite accurate. Like, it is very good as far as what the controller is trying to do. But that pink effect, I just don't really like it very much. And that is unfortunately required for the machine to work. And when you combine that with the fact that my TV does not like stuff on the left side of the screen, that just doesn't work very well. Ooh, get him. Anyways, this is Tin Star. This is a really good light gun game using this controller. In fact, I would say it's about the only good one there is. Oh, he actually put one of those bottles back on the table. That's kind of cool. Can I get those? So if you like shooting galleries, you know, this is pretty cool. It's just really, really harsh on the eyes. And speaking of harsh on the eyes, this is Terminator 2, which is a very good shooter game. And I'm going to play it first with the regular controller. Okay, yeah, been a while since I've done this. With the D-pad, this is doable, but man, it's a bit harsh. And it's too bad because this is a very, very good light gun game, probably one of my favorites. But it's, oh geez, look at that, I'm already hitting the people. But practically impossible if you're just using a D-pad. I mean, it's doable, I guess, but not the way I would recommend you play it. Ugh, this is really hard. So, of course, you're thinking to yourself, well, if it's capable of being played with the Super Scope, why wouldn't you play it with the Super Scope? Let me show you. Now here we are with the Super Scope, and look at the difference in the color. I mean, it's gone all weirdly, vibrantly purple and blue and topaz, or sort of taupe color. What the heck? Oh, that's the pause button. Now this one does use the thumb stick thing. So, I mean, we're getting a good feeling of like doing the T2 experience here, but everything's really gnarly 80s sort of neon colors and stuff. And why? Why does it look like this? The reason is because of that, the way that requirement of the Super Scope I mentioned before. I looked it up. I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Why is this thing suddenly gone a bizarre color when I know for a fact this copy of T2 works just great? And the reason is the way that the Super Scope actually registers hits is to do with the contrast of the TV screen. It can't really register deep reds and deep blues, which is, as you saw previously, kind of the majority of the gameplay of Terminator. It's actually a very red and blue game. So in order to make this work for the Super Scope, they had to change the color palette, and it doesn't really, it's not great. Now, luckily, the tracking is pretty good on the Super Scope itself. I'm getting a lot further here than I was with that controller. Unfortunately, I do still have, myself, I don't know if this is everybody, I have that problem of the region on kind of the left side of the screen that I simply cannot hit. Like, you can see there, that's as far to the left. I don't know if you can make out the arrow thing there. that's as far as it's going to go. So that's okay as long as everything continues to move across the screen. But there will be cases where there's dudes just on the left column there, and I can't get them, like that guy, because he's too far. So, unfortunately, the main reason that I got the Super Scope for Terminator 2, a really great light gun game that I love a lot, is actually a little useless to me. I can't use it for the purpose in which it was intended. Like, I can't get that guy, you know? And that really sucks. I was very unhappy. And then when you add in this vibrant pink kind of color scheme and stuff, I was just like, okay, well, disappointment abounds, I suppose. So that was kind of a downside for me. I was just like, all right, at this point, I'm out. I've got no interest now in trying to get T2 working unless they ever release it as a light gun game that you can play somehow otherwise. I mean, it would have been nice if they'd ever released it on the Wii. I would have been happy with that. I guess maybe they thought, no, it's already out on Super NES. Why would you need it any other way? Now, I think there is a way to make Super NES games on a Wii emulator recognize the Wiimote as a gun. I can't get the thing to work. If anybody knows a way to make this happen, I would be very much indebted to you, because I would want to be able to play this thing in the proper color scheme, but using the Wii remote as my gun. It just hasn't happened yet, and I'm very sad about that. So, however, the silver lining I will put at the end of this, though, is there is a version of T2 I was surprised I actually ended up really, really enjoying. Didn't think it was going to happen. And then I actually bought this one version that I will do a video about in the future. And I was like, this is actually the best version of T2, and I never would have thought it. So I'll leave that as a little teaser. Anyway, this is the Super Scope. Oh, I've been terminated. Well, there we go. That is the Nintendo Super Scope. It's got its flaws, got its problems, but I'm overall fairly happy. At least I tried, right? So that'll work for me. Oh, I get to shoot my initials. That'll work for me. Hope that acts as like a little reminder, warning, heads up for people who are thinking of getting one of these things. They use a lot of batteries. They're very finicky to work with sometimes. They have this requirement of changing the screen to a different color. Watch out for that. And in my case, at least, it doesn't recognize that left-hand side of the screen. But then neither did the PlayStation 1, so I think that's my TV to blame for that. Anyway, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.